No matter the weather, Alexandria Emergency Hospital is always here for you. Rain or shine, our doors are open 24/7 to provide the care you and your loved ones need fast. Every second counts, and Alexandria Emergency Hospital is here to help you through any storm.
In the event of a water damage emergency, call PuroClean of Cenla.
Hey, good morning, everyone. It is, it's all about the tropics right now, and we will be talking about that extensively here in the next little while. But looking out there right now looks just beautiful. Light little chop on Toledo Bend, and temperatures are warming up nicely, low to mid 80s. I say nicely for now. It's going to get hot later on. In fact, we have some heat advisories in effect for today. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Glad you came in to take a look at what's going on in the tropics. And, it's going to rain a lot. That's your short version, but I'm going to get way more into detail with that. Here is what Alexandria is looking like this morning. Fair weather clouds. I think we stay pretty fair on the skies today. I think we'll see a couple of storms out there, but I have chances at about 10%. Again, more flood warnings out in Texas. They cannot catch a break, but we're really focusing in on what's coming across Florida here, and it doesn't look incredibly organized this morning by any stretch. In fact, the swirl, the low-level swirl, the low-level low pressure kind of rocketing off away from this main area of thunderstorms. I think we're going to focus more on this area as it crosses over and gets into those warm waters of the Gulf. And from there, we will see what happens. But I'll give you my thoughts on what will happen here over the next little bit. Now, current temps, low to mid 80s statewide, pretty much standard for where we are this time of year. Heat alerts. It's hot. It's hot. It stays hot around here, but it's getting to that point where we get those advisories out there, and could be some dangerous heat with heat indices above 105 for Catahoula, Concordia, and whoa, Tammy, thank you so much. Y'all don't have to do stuff like that, but that's nice. I do appreciate it. Okay, you threw me off there with your kindness. So those are the heat alerts for today. We're getting through the small stuff here. We're going to show you kind of the layout of what's going to happen, and then we get into the tropical happenings. Wind gusts today pretty low, 10, maybe 12 miles an hour. If you see a storm, could gust up a little bit higher. But today, things are going to stay pretty in check with that. In fact, you can see on the HRRR model, just a couple isolated cells out there. Not too much going on. Down along I-10, that's where your best chance of rain is going to be. And then as we go a little later into the afternoon, a couple more storms, but I think everything kind of holds off as that high pressure builds overhead. And typically, it's like, okay, that high pressure's building, so that's going to swing this thing west of us, whatever it is. Unfortunately, that high pressure is going to move a little bit. It's going to retreat up to the northeast, and I'll show you this in greater detail here in just a second. That's going to put us in the prime zone to at least see a lot of rainfall. I don't see scenarios right now where we're going to see much wind. So I think the lights stay on. I think we get a lot of rain, which of course can cause some major issues as well. No severe threat for today unless you're heading up toward Hastings, Nebraska, and then you might see some severe storms. Mid to upper 90s for today, mostly sunny, trying to get to the good stuff, and here we are. Still a 40% chance of development. I thought I was going to wake up to 60 or 70, to be honest. So seeing that a little bit lower, seeing this thing kind of disheveled as it moves inland over Florida, that's good stuff. We don't want this thing to organize. And should we see this thing relocate a little further north, I still think we get the moisture in here. I just don't think we would see any sort of named system at that point. Still a couple of days to watch this thing, but I think it comes in sometime late Thursday. So really not a lot of time for this thing to strengthen, even if it decides to start to get its act together. So looking at the infrared satellite picture, it looks like, remember, I was kind of saying if this thing comes out south of Tampa, we have a bit more of a problem. It looks like it's taken that higher, that northerly route there through just north of Tampa, so a couple, maybe 60 miles north. That's all the difference in the world when you're talking about land interaction and things like that. So it has some land interaction today. It's going to continue to at least see some of that circulation over land in the coming days. And this thing right here, this high pressure, that's where we have clockwise flow around this. So why is this thing going to the west, and then why does it turn? Let's take a look. That high pressure is going to retreat slightly to the northeast. So this is Wednesday. You can see that's going to keep this thing on a westerly path. And as it rounds that curve on Thursday, you can see here, this thing's going to pretty much pump right up over Louisiana. Whatever it is, I think this thing makes landfall in Louisiana. Now, it could be an unnamed storm. It could be an unnamed system. We saw 2016. Doesn't need a name to cause problems. Am I saying this is going to be 2016 for the Monroe or the Baton Rouge area? No, it's not going to be. I'm not saying it's going to be like that. I'm just saying just because something is named or not does not really matter for the severity of the rainfall attached to it. Now let's take a look at some of the models, see what they're saying. GFS Futurecast showing that we have showers and storms coming west across the Gulf here, northern Gulf right there. You don't see a real consolidated, solid area right there. So still a system that is not very well put together. Over the next couple of days, showers and storms just come through in waves, and I think we're going to have a pretty dense core of moisture with this thing, so I think we see some heavy rain. I'm thinking we get flood watches, we get flood warnings. Just how much we get here still remains a bit in question, but I'll show you a good first idea on that in just a bit. And after that, we go to scattered storms. So things are going to not look quite as crazy into next week. And really, I think this is mainly going to be a Thursday night through early Saturday, maybe midday Saturday kind of thing. And then things are going to start to slow down a bit. So the tropical tracks, these are those tropical models we run when we start calling something an invest, an investigation. So this is Invest 93 AL or AL 93. And there's your models running this thing right along the coast. And I would have thought yesterday this is a little bit too far north. Now notice, we do have some sort of bend toward the south here, and that AVNI, that is the GFS model, and the TVCN, which you'll see in a minute, that's kind of the consensus. So that's like if the National Hurricane Center was to put out a forecast right now, they love the TVCN. That takes all the models. It doesn't swing really quickly. So we're going to, look at that as kind of a baseline of where we think this is going to go. And right now that TVCN kind of wobbles around here. I don't think it's going to have that wobble, but your general idea would be west toward the mouth of the Mississippi, then turning up toward the north, somewhere over Louisiana. And does that happen over East Louisiana or West Louisiana? I don't know just yet, but I think it's going to be close enough to where most of our area sees plenty of rainfall. In fact, we do have the risk for excessive rainfall showing up in the forecast on Thursday. That's a slight risk down along I-10. Now, up this way, I think it's going to come in more Thursday night into Friday. We have a moderate risk down here over South Louisiana for flash flooding. Once we get into that moderate risk, that's when things get a little more serious, or that's when WPC is saying, yeah, we might see some significant flooding here. And if we see a high risk, that basically means it's imminent. So this is why we're seeing it. 5 to 10 inches of rain in the forecast here from our southern parishes down toward the coastal areas. If we see a storm that consolidates a bit more, we could see these totals bump up. I think we probably do see a little more than that up this way. In general, 2 to 6 inches of rain. I think we'll see less at Toledo Bend than we will see in Opelousas, so it's going to be heavier rain to the south and east. And right here across the middle of the state, I think this thing tracks close enough to give us some flooding potential. So if you have plans, I think heavy rain for Friday and early Saturday, that's our main area of emphasis here. I'm up to 80% Friday, 70% Saturday. We see another couple runs of this, we go to 100%. So I think it's going to be pretty darn wet Friday into Saturday. Tuesday and Wednesday, dry, hot, humid, kind of nasty out there. And then we get into that rain starting Thursday, and then it gets out of here. It gets back to the normal scattered storms on Sunday and Monday. So that's what we're looking at for now. Then that high pressure ridge kind of stays overhead. It keeps things warmer than normal as we get toward the end of the month. And you know what's crazy is I actually see another potential system kind of like this one moving from the east to the west along the northern Gulf Coast. Now, has this ever happened before? I'm starting to get those questions. We had Edward in 2008, kind of had a similar path, and I'm researching back into this to see some other tracks like that, but I just wanted to see the most recent comp. And yes, we had Tropical Storm Edward off to the south in 2018, kind of took that westerly path and came inland after a short trek across the Gulf. So that is kind of where we're at right now, what I'm watching. Thank you about the t-shirt. I like this color too. It's kind of mustardy. It's like my Dwight Schrute shirt. Yeah. Oh yeah, mom is here. She's out there. She's listening right now. All right. So I'm going to basically, I think I'll be doing updates throughout the day on this. I'll be posting things as things come in, as new highlights come in, new things to talk about. But for now, looks like a lot of rain Thursday night into Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon, somewhere in there. 2 to 6 inches is my forecast for our parishes here in central Louisiana. And I think isolated higher totals, especially to the south. And I could revise that upward or downward, but right now I think that's a pretty good idea of how much we'll get. And basically that means I don't think we get crazy excessive rain just yet. But over the next couple of days, we'll see how things develop, and I will let you know as soon as I think I see a trend in any one direction. But right now, things are slowly trending wetter, and that's the way it looks from where I'm sitting right here on Tuesday morning. I'll have a full update. I'll have updates like crazy. You know how it's going to go until this thing is gone, until the threat is gone. But the good news is I don't see a big wind issue. But if you have plans, I believe it's a baseball or softball tournament in the Tioga area this weekend. it doesn't look great. And I'm going to answer those messages here in just a second. But yeah, it looks like wet, and that is our main story. Sarasota, Florida, Saturday. Yeah, you'll be better. You'll be fine by then. I think everything's going to be moving off to the north. You'll get your typical scattered storms, but that's going to be about it. And that's about it for me. I'll see you back here a little later.